What's up guys, welcome to this video where we will be talking about how to set up a training program specifically for stimulating hypertrophy or muscle growth so that it is effective, meaning that it delivers the result that it promises and is also time efficient. Before we get started, I want to warn you guys that this is going to be a long-term content, and the reason for that is because there are a lot of nuances into making a training program, and I feel like there's already enough short-term content on YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, oh my gosh, TikTok, and these short-term content, they're really good for very specific questions like how do I record my screen on a Windows. I actually just saw a short video on that. But when it gets to more detailed stuff, we need this long-term content. I believe that's very essential for learning and understanding and developing your, just getting a deeper knowledge on specific topics. Well, that being said, let's get into it. And just another thing, I would upload this video on YouTube, so there would be more structure. You could see the different sections of the video. And also it's going to be accessible over a longer period of time. All right, so what does a good training program look like? Well, as I said earlier, it has to be effective, meaning it has to deliver what it promises. And for a lot of us who are busy with our lives, business, family, it has to be time efficient. We don't want to spend 3 hours in the gym. So getting beyond that, I know a lot of you guys are personal trainers. Some of you are physiotherapists. Some of you are physiotherapy students. Now, if I ask you, what is it that makes your training program special from something that a client can download from Google or ask AI to make for them? The thing that makes your training program special is the psychosocial factors, meaning that you have to understand and get to know your clients before making a program for them. In that way, you make sure that the client is motivated to do the training program and that they adhere to it, they stay consistent, and because of that, they are gonna see results. And guess what? When they see results, you're going to have better testimonies, you're going to get more clients, you're going to experience more success in the long term. And don't get me wrong, everybody should understand the biomechanical stuff. Everybody should know, should have at least taken one of the N1 courses, even the cheaper version one. What's his name? Ben Yanes. Just to get the basic understanding. Those stuff are basics, and I know they don't teach that in the school. So if I was you, I would find someone who can teach me those stuff, get a mentor. All we have to do in order to understand our clients, in order to make effective training program, is to ask questions, listen to our clients, ask questions again, and listen some more. So what are some of the questions? Well, let's take a look. So the first question we have to ask ourselves is, what is the goal? Everybody has a dream of becoming jacked and strong, but what does it actually mean for the client? What is it specifically they want to achieve? And that can be sometimes hard to find out. Sometimes we have to come with suggestions and maybe inspire the client to kind of set goals. Maybe somebody wants to get strong and jacked, but they don't know anything about training. Then we can introduce them to different exercises, and based on those exercises, maybe make a few goals on how to progressively overload, introduce them to the progressive overload principle, and set goals for them. All right, let's do 100 kilo in the leg press. Let's do your body weight on a squat, etc., etc. And the most important thing is that figuring out what's important for your client, what is their specific goal, or maybe set a specific goal for them. Because once you have the goal, it's going to make everything much easier. Because when you're designing the program, you know exactly what to prioritize and what to not go in detail so much with. All right. I don't think I need an example on this. I think everybody gets it. You know, if you have a girl, the girls usually want big booties. Maybe you can do more booty work there. If you have a guy who just wants big chest and arms, you can do more chest and arms. All right. And after that, the other question I've written is, what is the level of physical and mental resources? You know, rarely you would have a client who has strong physical and mental resources. Okay, that's like one of the 1% of the athletes in the world. You know, they're the high achievers. They're the ones who are successful already. They're not gonna come to you ask for help, or maybe they do, but it's gonna be very rare. You know, people are usually very strong physically and they lack knowledge inside the gym, or they don't even want to gain knowledge. You know, some people that just want to get to the gym and just bang shit up because that's what they used to, because maybe they just don't have the resources. Maybe they just spend so much mental energy out of the gym. Maybe they are students, maybe they are having big businesses, and they're just busy doing all other stuff that they're not motivated to learn and to gain more knowledge. We could work with those clients, you know, just make sure they don't get injured, make sure their volume is not much, because technically and their execution may not be able to improve that much. You can also have people who are weak physically. You know, they haven't trained for such a long time, or they are maybe too busy to train or whatever, you know, maybe they have bad genetics, but mentally they're prepared to learn. And those are the people I love, you know, because I don't judge people on their strength. Seriously, I've seen so many strong people that it doesn't really impress me how strong you are, you know, like, come on. We are here to work intelligently, you know, not to beat ourselves like fucking donkeys. The thing you want to be careful of is people who are mentally not strong, at least inside the gym. I'm not, you know, judging people on their mental capacities, you know, whatever, but inside the gym, they're not really motivated to learn, and they're not physically strong, so they're not motivated to push themselves. Those are the people who are going to waste your time. Be aware of those clients. You know, do you really want to work with those people? Are they really going to produce any results? You know, are they going to motivate you to go to work? That's a red flag for me. I would personally send them to another personal trainer. Maybe somebody else can motivate them. Maybe they get interested in something else. I'm not going to work with them myself. Anyways, going to the third question is going to be the level of motivation and effort. We already kind of talked about it. So the next question is, what does the client prefer? And this question alone overrules everything else. The answer to this question is going to determine how you're going to design your program, because your knowledge, your education, your experiences, the things you're going to learn in this video and the things you're going to learn in the rest of your life doesn't really matter. As an expert, you know nothing compared to your client's wishes. They are the God. They decide everything. It doesn't mean that you should worship everything they say. You know, sometimes what they want is not really what they need, and we have to inform them. We have to come with suggestions. We have to tell about our experiences and what we think about that idea. But at the end of the day, they are going to be the ones doing the work, and if they're not motivated to do it, if they don't adhere, they will get shitty results. I can give you a couple of examples. Think about a powerlifter or a crossfitter who just worship the barbell as the holy dick of Jesus Christ itself. And all they want to do is to pray, deadlift, squat, and bench press. If you give any of those people a double-banded pendulum squat without telling them why you do it and without getting them to buy into it, they would hate your fucking gut. They would never talk to you again. They would block you on Instagram. They would just talk shit about you for the rest of their life, you know, because you're messing with their beliefs. Anyways, Keep in mind that your clients' preferences and wishes are way more important than anything else when making a training program. We touch on exercise type. Another example could be rest periods. Some people love to do supersets, drop sets. They like to sweat and jump around. Or rep ranges is a very common one. Some people like to do 8 to 10 reps, maybe 10 to 12 reps. Other people, like myself, we like to stay low around 5 to 7 reps. It's a very personal thing, and I let my clients decide that for themselves. I, of course, inform them about rep ranges and stuff. We're not gonna go deep into that. Not in this video. I'm gonna make another video about rep ranges and what's the benefit of doing fewer reps versus high reps, and when is it more appropriate to do one over the other. When we have the information we need to design a training program, we should decide how much volume, how much food are we gonna feed our client, and we have to base that on their ability to recover from the work we are giving them. What's their capacity? What else are they doing besides training? If they're doing multi-sports, or if they are in a period of their life where their nutrition is not good, where their sleep is not appropriate, where they somehow don't recover properly. Some of the very important factors that often get overlooked is their emotional and psychological status. Somebody whose cat just fell out the window and died because cats are fucking stupid and they kill themselves. I'm sorry. They probably be low, and their psychological status may not be optimal for a hardcore training program. Or somebody who just lost their dog. That's fucking sad. You don't want to fuck people up when they already are fucked up mentally and emotionally. So again, you have to talk with your client. You have to find a way to get through those periods, and do not give them too much stress if they're already psychologically and emotionally stressed. So moving on to volume, I love to write down the amount of volume that I'm going to prescribe in a training program before writing the training program. That's also going to help me focus on which muscle groups I'm going to be involving and prioritizing in the training program. As you can see over here, I've written muscle groups, the number of muscle groups, and the amount of sets that I will be doing per week. Also, another point that the way I count volume for hypertrophy is the number of sets that are taken to failure or close to failure per week. I think the guy who came up with this idea was Greg Knuckles, and just big love and shout out to Greg Knuckles, his boss. One thing to be mindful of is that beginners, they don't know how to go to failure. They lack so much coordination and technique that they probably reach technical failure, or they just end up giving up halfway through because they don't know how much they can push themselves. So the more beginner-ish you are, the more sets you're probably gonna need, and the more hardcore, intermediate, or advanced you are, the less and fewer sets you're gonna be needing. Because advanced people, they don't lack technique. They can perform exercises with closed eyes, and they can push themselves to the point of near death. So just keep that in mind. And I know it's contradictory to what the whole industry says, but I believe this is something we have to be mindful of. You don't want to give people who are already good at pushing themselves too many sets, because they're just gonna wreck themselves, unless there are a bunch of anabolics and other stuff that's gonna help them recover from the workouts. Going back to the number of hard sets per week, aka volume, you can see for quads, hamstring, glutes, and calves, I put in 10 sets. Mostly because when we do a knee extension movement or we do a squat movement, we're gonna be hitting all of the quad muscles. Same goes for hamstrings. Moving up to lats, you can see that I divided the lats into upper lats and lower lats. The reason for that is because the function is different and the way we're gonna train them is different. You know, some of the more old school bodybuilders, they would call the upper lat, they would just say horizontal row. But when we're doing the rear delt, we are also doing the horizontal row. So if we count it in that way, we're gonna have 11 sets of horizontal row. If we are thinking more intelligently, we have to consider that there is not a single muscle in the body that works in isolation. You know, people who believe in those stuff are the same ones that prescribe rotator cuff exercises in isolation, because they can't understand that your rotator cuff is active whenever you're doing normal human movements. You don't need to take this in isolation in order to train them. But that's a whole other video for itself. What I want you to be mindful of is that whenever we train the upper lats, there's going to be some lower lat fibers that are going to be activated. For that reason, we can give the upper lats 6 set, the lower lats 6 set, and kind of have 9 set for the both areas. Same thing goes for chest. We have the lower chest, middle chest, and upper chest. Whenever we train one of them, we're going to be touching other ones as well. That's why I have 5 sets per region, to make sure all of the regions get developed. You know, we could also say that we have 15 sets per chest, but that's just a very mediocre way to count volume, and it doesn't tell us specifically what we are training. And moving up to shoulder, we have the rear delt, lateral delt, and front delt. We have 10 sets for elbow flexors and 10 sets for elbow extensors. Moving on to the program itself. So I would be putting this Excel sheet out somewhere so you can download and use it if you would like to. As you can see, this is just a very old school way to make a program. You know, nowadays you got all these fancy apps and you don't have to use a fucking Excel sheet to make a program. Anyways, first of all, we're going to be defining how many days a week we're going to be training, and is it going to be full body or body part split. So it's going to be a 3 split full body program, and the way I divided, I literally just spent 10 minutes making these, so I don't know if there is any fault. I'm gonna review it together with you guys and we're gonna figure out. So day 1 is gonna be legs, delts, and arms. So would be day 3. There's gonna be legs, rear delt, and arm. So what we're doing here is matching some of the bigger muscles with the smaller muscles, so we get a little bit of both without exhausting ourselves to death. And on day 2,
we're gonna go all bro. Sorry.
all bro and hit the upper body. So let's go through day 1. Well, first exercise for me, I always put the most demanding exercise at the beginning of a workout. We have the focus, we have the energy, let's spend it on some good compound movement. And the first exercise is going to be a squat-ish movement. So it can be a squat, it can be a leg press, a hack squat if that's available, or a pendulum squat if you're lucky enough to have a pendulum squat in your gym. We're going to do 5 sets, 7 to 5 reps, and that's going to be the same for all these 3 exercises over here. The RPE, or proximity to failure, is going to be at 8, and the rest periods is going to be 3 to 5 in all exercises. After the squat, we're going to go in a less demanding exercise that's going to train the antagonist muscles, which is going to be hamstrings. We're going to do some hamstring curl, also because we're going to be training the bicep femoris. 5 sets, 7 to 5 reps, and after that we're going to do cuffs. It can be, I prefer standing calf raises, is that how I should say it? Calf raises, or any other straight knee calf raises. So we train all of the calf muscles, and at this point of the training program, we have spent a lot of energy. We have already done 3 hardcore exercises. We have done 15 sets, 15 heavy sets. That's very energy demanding. We have to keep that in mind. At this point, we just want to go home, but because we are some hardcore, disciplined, alpha motherfuckers, boys and girls, we are gonna stick to the program. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have one rear delt exercise. Oh shit, that's the first mistake. Okay, this is a rear delt. So day one, we're gonna do rear delt. So we're gonna have one hardcore rear delt exercise. That can be a rear delt fly, or it can be a wide grip row or a T-bar row, or whatever we happen to have access to at our gym. And then we're gonna do some cable work here, some tricep push down, and some bicep preacher curl. In terms of why we're doing cables here and we may be doing dumbbells there, in form of exercise selection and stuff like that, I'm gonna make another video for you guys, so don't think too much about it right now. Well, over here, we only have 3 sets and the reps are a little bit higher because we may be a little bit more fatigued. We may not be able to move as much weight. And for most people, it's just easier to stabilize a weight that is lighter. Let's say we're doing a rear delt fly, most people are not patient and disciplined enough to stay within a hard weight, and they're just gonna swing and compensate with other body parts. So we're just gonna keep it to 8 to 10 minutes. The rest period is gonna be the same. For the rear delt, I would probably take all 3 sets to failure, since it's the only upper body exercise that we're doing in this day. Well, for the second day, which is, let's say day 1 was on Monday, day 2 is gonna be on a Wednesday. So we have a day off here. On day 2, we're gonna go all apeshit on the upper body exercises. The way I put this one, this particular workout, is that we start from the top, we're doing the incline bench, so we train the upper chest, then we go to middle chest, we're doing flat press, and then we go and do dips, so the lower chest. To make sure that all of these regions get the same amount of attention and energy, we could be switching the program around every other week. So 1 week we start from the bottom and go up, and the next week we start from the top and go to the bottom. That's a very helpful element that I've been using myself with my clients. So we start with the incline bench, and then we do some pull down or pull arounds. If we are more detailed, we can even do chin-ups if that's what the client prefers. I put these 2 exercises as separate exercises. We could even do them as a superset, as an antagonist superset. In that case, instead of 3 to 5 minutes between each set, we would be having 1 minute. But because we are working for a minute, then we have 1 minute break, then we have a exercise that we do for 1 minute, and then 1 minute break after that. We will actually have 3 minutes in total between each set that we train the same muscle. So that's also an option to cut down some time. After that, we're gonna do some middle chest, maybe a flat press, maybe a bench press. I know a lot of bros love the bench press. And then we're gonna move on to some rows for the upper lat region. And again, if you're more detailed, you can do the N1 pull around version where you wrap your lats around the rib cage and get to lengthen them. And then we finish with some dips for the lower packs. Nothing magical here. Over here I've actually done it. I've made an antagonist superset. You can see you perform your row, 7 to 5 reps, then you have 1 minute break, and then you move on to your dips, and then you perform 1 set there, 1 minute break. Moving on to day 3. Okay, here was actually a mistake because this is gonna be delts with a big S. There we go. So on day 3, on day 1 we did the squat pattern movement. On day 3 we're gonna do a hinge pattern movement. So this can be a RDL, it can be a deadlift, it can be a hyper extension even. If you know how to load it properly and your technique is on, you can definitely use that. A GHD can even be used. Or if you are just looking to get a big ass booty and you don't want to do any deadlifting, well, you can also do a hip thrust. And after that, we're gonna be doing leg extension. I don't know if you can see the pattern here. Here we did the leg curl, here we did the leg extension to train the rectus femoris, to get those quads nice and juicy. We move on to calves. Again, I would actually prefer doing a standing version, because then we would just be training the gastrocnemius as well as the soleus. We don't have to isolate any of those and spend too much time there. And then once again, when we get at the end of the leg workout, I would literally put 2 supersets here, A, B, C, D, E, and then we're gonna be doing lateral raises together with dumbbell bicep curls. And over here, we're gonna be doing a superset where we perform 1 set of lateral raises and go directly to the bicep curls and then have 2 minutes of break. So in total, we're gonna have 3 minutes of break between each set of the same exercise. And the same goes for dumbbell front raises. Is it flies or is it front raises? I'm asking you guys. I actually don't know. I was thinking about it right before and I couldn't come up with the answer. So I just write flies, aka raises. And then we're gonna superset that with a dumbbell tricep extension. The reason I put dumbbells here is because it's just more practical. You know, if you are choosing to do dumbbells for one exercise, it's just way more practical to just change the weight and then do the next exercise rather than going back and forth between cables and dumbbells and, you know, whatever other equipment you choose to use. Here I like to push the delts on lateral raises and front raises to failure, so all sets taken to failure to maximize the stimuli. This is just one way. Yes, I did write this program in 5 or 10 minutes, but this is a result of the last 13 years of me working out in the gym. Okay, this wasn't written in 10 minutes. This is the results of my experience inside the gym, and this is just the basics. You know, there are so many variations, there are so many different ways to design a training program. And if you guys want to get in a more advanced level, if you want to improve your understanding of this stuff, because once again, these are just the basics, sign up for the mentorship. Then we go one-on-one and I'll teach you everything you need to excel at your work. Thank you for watching. See you next time.